Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Storm with Creative Community Solutions. And as you're aware, on the press and media end, we get a chance to not only cover great events, but great people doing great things. So whether it's arts and entertainment, college and professional sports, nonprofits, and other aspects of the community or business, we're really excited to present today's story. You can find the article on our website at acenortonccs.com and click on the menu for articles and coverage. For those of you on social media, if you add Creative Community Solutions LLC on Facebook and YouTube, you'll see the article and you'll be able to see the entire interview as well as highlights in a specialized playlist. Ace Norton CCS on Twitter and Instagram, and connect with me on LinkedIn as well as Medium. So when you're talking about someone who has their feet in different moving parts, professional and community, we're so excited to have our guest with us today. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chastity Stevenson Westry, and I'm thrilled to have this opportunity. So, hey, Andrew.
Hey, Chastity, it's good to see you. And before we dive in on what you're doing through the lens of law, give us a little bit of a background, where you're based out of, and any of your professional as well as community moving parts.
Absolutely. So, I'm actually based out of Atlanta, Georgia. My law practice covers the state of Alabama. So, any clients or law needs in the state of Alabama. In addition to law, I also have spent 20 plus years in sales and sales leadership, primarily working in consumer packaged goods for corporations such as PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, and General Mills, and leading sales teams across the country. And I'm currently doing work in not only law, but science and agriculture, leading national sales as a director for a phenomenal company that specializes in science, education, and agriculture.
Wow, that's a whole lot of moving parts right there. First, the first question I've got is, I'm hearing time management. How are you able to move not only as fluidly as you are, but as proficiently as you are? Like you said, a 20 plus year history and proven track record in some of these fields. So how do you move as fluidly as you do?
Absolutely. So for me, organization is key. I probably manage 5 different calendars at one time because I'm also a mom, and I'm a mom of a very, very active senior that's about to graduate and move on to college, not only as a scholar, but also as an athlete. So I'm typically managing about 5 different calendars every single day. So organization is absolutely key. Overall time management, making sure I like for everyone to feel like they're the only one. So within my first opportunity with the company that I represent, my personal opportunity with my law practice, my family, etc. It's all about making sure that they all feel like the only. And making sure that each one of their priorities are met as I prioritize my day.
And I tell you what, when I was listening to that, in addition to time management, it's attention to detail. And like you're alluding to, when you are meeting with people, whether it's through the lens of the law firm, the lens of the other business components that you have, family, and any other level of engagement, part of what makes you proficient is your attention to detail. And like you said before, when people connect, it's like all eyes are on them, like what their needs are, what their questions, concerns are, like you're giving them, your undivided attention. And we always speak about professionalism, but with the movement that you have, walk through with us how critical, even though it sounds fundamental, but how critical is the element of professionalism regarding what you do?
It's the most. For me, I have the philosophy: always walk out of the house as if you're ready to make a deal. So whether I'm going to the mailbox or the grocery store or going to the courthouse or going into a business meeting, my aura, who I am as a person, really doesn't fluctuate too much, so for me, professionalism is, how you carry yourself, how you stand tall, how you walk, what does your conversation feel like? How does it make others feel? Even when I was in law school, and I went to law school in a very late age, I went to law school after I had ran $1 billion business. I still dressed every day in law school as if I was going to manage 1,100 employees, which was my prior role, because it's all the same to me. How you show up, how you present yourself, to me, that's not a moment. That's just who you are. So I lead with professionalism, from the way I wear my hair to the earrings I choose to the dress that I put on to what comes out of my mouth. So.
Well, I tell you what, and I'm glad you walked through it, because even though it sounds like it's a fundamental theme, there's some people that don't always grasp that theme. And so, just with you breaking that down, I'm hearing professionalism and I'm hearing proficiency. Give us a little bit of insight with, the current work that you're doing under the lens of law in regards to the name of your firm, and what are your focus areas within your firm?
Absolutely. So my firm is Eagle Law. My undergrad is from Auburn University, which we're, the War Eagle, Auburn Tigers, all that stuff. But it's actually called Eagle Law from a biblical perspective, because, life brings ebbs and flows, ups and downs, mountains and valleys. And, for me, I've always looked at it from, Lord, replenish me like the eagle, allow me to soar, like an eagle. So I named the firm Eagle Law because it's all about resilience in life, not perfection, not everything always going great, but about resilience and the bounce and the bounce back. My practice areas are areas that I love. With law, there are 100 different things that you can practice. But for me, I focused on the areas that I had experience in from a business perspective, because I bring a very strong business background, and also things that I'm passionate about personally. So my firm, first of all, it begins with guardian ad litem. And a guardian ad litem is a representative primarily for the child, or it could be, for someone else of need that can't fully represent themselves. But years ago, in 4 years, I sat on the board of a foster care home. And that was a life-changing experience. And although I'm the mom of one, I'm the oldest of 9 siblings. And what I realized by being a member of that foster care board was that children can come into foster care for a lot of different reasons. You can have both parents, deceased at the same time, or one before the other, or they're left without parents, or it could be abuse. It could be a lot of different things. But what I realized was I had the ability, through my negotiating skills over the years, to take what was a volunteer opportunity and actually make that into a second career by becoming a helpful advocate for children and on the child dependency side. In addition to that, I practice within the business areas that are important to me. So contract law, I love contracts. That's how I've spent 20 plus years of my career. Contract law, small business law, as someone I've owned a restaurant, I've owned other small businesses, helping others go through that process. I also have a strong passion for wills and trusts, especially as minorities. And when we look at the transfer of property and making sure that there is generational wealth being built. A lot of people think that, hey, they have to have $50,000 or something before they look into wills and trusts. No, if you have a child, if you have property, if you have anything of value, these are areas that you should be looking into. And also, under the same space as contracts, I also do prenuptial and postnuptial agreements as individuals, married later in life, as you've accumulated more on your own and then you partner with someone, or if you have children and you're going into a marriage situation? How are you looking at your assets? And it's not a lack of love or distrust of love. It's just, smart business practice, like, like insurance or anything else, to make sure that everyone is mindful of the fact that marriage itself is a legal contract. And while it encompasses love and it's because of love, you also want to make sure that there are other documents in place as well.
Well, it sounds like you said before, of the large universe of law, you've got your key and essential areas, some of which are an extension of the work you've already done. And some of it is probably through your own discovery and being aware that, hey, if this was an area of concern for me, it's going to be an area of concern for other people. So now with your law firm, remind us what state or states are you currently in? Do you see yourself expanding to other states in the country?
I do. The thing about being a licensed attorney, you are licensed for a state primarily. I mean, there is reciprocity across states, but when an attorney passes a bar, they're passing it for that state, and they're seeking permission to practice law in other states, right? So for me, I currently practice in Alabama. And I'm a native of Alabama. I grew up in a very small town that was 6 square miles in North Alabama. And I love the people of Alabama. And from an education perspective, being, one of the lowest across the country, from an economic perspective, being one of the lowest across the country, I feel like the clientele there has a need for me. Also, when you calculate in the fact that only 5% of attorneys nationwide are African Americans, and only 2 to 3% of that 5% are African American females, I want to make sure that the state of Alabama knows, as an African American female attorney, that I'm here to support them. Absolutely see myself expanding the practice in the next few years, once I honestly help my child get through some very critical years, going into adulthood. And the thing I love about the law, and I've always loved about the law, is that, I mean, you can practice at any age, as long as you're sharp-minded. You can go into a courtroom, or you can sit down in an office and advocate, because that's really what it's about. Especially for someone like me, it's about the advocacy and how do you use your voice to help others. And that's why I branched out into the law as a second career.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've outlined your track record and expertise being in corporate, being in regards to sales and management, like you said, having like 1,100 employees, and the ties with the entrepreneurship, and now with law. You've kind of already answered it in regards to expanding your practice, but what else do you see on the horizon for you, whether it's professionally, this is the footprint I'm trying to leave, or maybe even through the lens of any community service and outreach? What's next?
What's next? Wow. I like to say, in some aspects, more of the same. I'm in a very happy spot. There have been times in my career that, I've put in, 60-hour weeks, and I'm grinding very, very hard, but I'm not necessarily enjoying the work, right? I've climbed a lot of ladders. I mean, I was with a top 50 company where I had 5 positions in 10 years, a lot of movement for my family. Right now, in the future, it's all about, I guess, the sweet spot. And I really feel like I found a sweet spot. So it's more of not necessarily diverting from the sweet spot, but how to expand upon it. So I like what I'm doing now in business and in the law. And I would say more of the same. I could see myself potentially, taking on more from a business perspective, and I can see myself expanding out, whether that's geographically or with practice areas, when it comes to my law practice. But at the end of the day, especially at this point in my life, I'm not really compromising my happiness anymore. And I'm not necessarily chasing anything anymore. It's really about when I wake up and when I go to bed, did my day feel fulfilled? And that's exactly how I feel right now. I feel fulfilled. I feel like the things that I'm passionate about, that intrigue me, that um, challenge me emotionally and intellectually, they're being fulfilled. So it'll be more of that sweet spot. I am huge on community. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm a member of Jack and Jill of America. I'm a member of the Links Incorporated. I'm a member of Junior League. I'm a sustainer member of Junior League. So I have dedicated decades to service, and I always make room for service. And really, when you think about my law practice, while it's an income generating business, it was inspired and formed based on servicing children first and foremost, and then expanding from there. So from a community perspective, anything I can do to help someone that maybe came from my economic background. I mean, I grew up extremely poor in a town 6 square miles in North Alabama, first generation, college graduate, and here I am 3 degrees later. But it was a journey. So anything I can do to advocate or mentor, et cetera, out in the community, I'm absolutely available for that. I've been the community service chair of organizations like Jack and Jill. I'm the incoming legislative affairs chair for my Links chapter. So political engagement, educational engagement, food insecurity, any child advocacy, all of these are very, very important topics and issues and local and state and national community opportunities that I'm all in for.
Well, I tell you what, I appreciate how, again, you've shared your expertise, your proficiency, your passion, your balance. So as we get ready to wind down, last 2 things. The first thing would be the preferred contact info for the law firm and any other related, I'll say, business and community engagement. And then the last thing, if people don't remember anything about you sharing your professional journey, the motivation, encouragement, inspiration behind it, what would be one takeaway that you want people to have, whether it ties in with your career, if it ties in with your personal philosophy? Let's start with there, but in pivoting back, the preferred means of contact regarding the law firm and any other business or community pieces.
Absolutely. So the best way to reach me is at cswestrylaw@gmail.com. That's CSWESTRYLAW@gmail.com. That's the best way to reach me and connect with me. What I would want people to remember or think about that I try to always center back to is, well, there are 2 things. Personal joy. I'm a big believer in joy. I actually used to have a restaurant, and the name of it was Bliss, right, which is a synonym for joy, and that was 18 years ago. So it's not something that I've stumbled across new. Is something that I've held near and dear since my 30s. So seek joy. You've earned it. You've deserved it. You were put on this earth to have that feeling or have a piece of it. So seek joy. I'd also say it's okay to move by inches. There have been moments, a lot of moments in my life where I've moved in leaps. I've moved in really big, bold moves, but there's also been times in my life where I've been forced to sit still and move inch by inch by inch. But what I found during those times was, it's not that I wasn't moving by leaps, anymore. It's that I had the audacity and the faith and the resilience to move in inches. And they matter because you're still moving forward. It's all about the forward. So don't be your worst critic. You know, have faith, have trust, have vision. And even if it's 1 inch forward, you're a winner. And that's what you need to remember.
Well, I tell you what, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and your moving parts. Man, you could do it. You could do a TED talk in regards to moving parts management, to say the least. And of course, we definitely appreciate, like I said, your continued professional journey, your community journey. We do obviously wish you continued success and well wishes. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time engaging or connecting with our guests, please do not let it be the last. To catch up on the article, acenortonccs.com, click on the menu for articles and coverage. Creative Community Solutions LLC on Facebook and YouTube for the article, as well as the full interview and interview highlights. Ace Norton CCS on Instagram and Twitter. And then, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn and Medium to go ahead and catch this. So, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we wish you a good day, a good week, a good weekend. Look forward to connecting with you real soon.
Thanks, everyone.